When my daughter-in-law told me they had already gotten married, I did not cry. I smiled. I nodded my head. And I said, "Oh, that's nice." But inside me, something quietly broke. I remember standing in my kitchen, holding my phone in my hand, staring at the wall. The kettle was boiling, but I did not hear it. The room felt very still, like the air itself was holding its breath. I had asked a simple question, a mother's question. I said, "So, when is the wedding?" And she replied, calm and quick, "We got married yesterday." No invitation, no call, no warning, just a finished sentence, a closed door. I did not ask why. I did not say how I felt. I did not let my voice shake. I congratulated them. I told her I was happy. And then I sat down alone. That was the moment I realized something important. Sometimes the deepest pain does not come with shouting or anger. Sometimes it comes quietly, like a whisper you cannot escape. This is my story. Not about hate, not about blame, but about love, misunderstanding, and learning to let go without becoming bitter. Setup, family, background, emotional foundation. I am a mother of one son. Just one. His name is Daniel. When his father passed away, Daniel was only 9 years old. From that day on, it was just the two of us. I worked small jobs. I cooked simple meals. I tried my best. We did not have much money, but we had time together. Evenings at the kitchen table. Homework spread everywhere. Laughing at silly television shows. Daniel grew into a gentle boy. Quiet. Kind. The type who listens more than he speaks. When he went to college, the house became very quiet. Too quiet. But I was proud. I told myself, this is how life moves forward. That was when he met her. Her name is Emily. The first time Daniel mentioned her, his voice sounded different. Soft. Careful. Hopeful. "She's really kind, Mom," he said. "She makes me feel calm." I liked hearing that. When I finally met Emily, she was polite. Reserved. She smiled, but her eyes stayed guarded. I tried not to push. I told myself, everyone opens up in their own time. I cooked her favorite meals after asking Daniel what she liked. I kept conversations light. Weather. Work. Food. I never wanted to be that mother. The one who interferes. The one who demands attention. I wanted to give space. So much space. Maybe too much. At first, everything felt fine. They visited on holidays. They stayed for dinner. Emily thanked me politely every time. But slowly, things changed. Visits became shorter. Messages took longer to answer. Phone calls became rare. I noticed it, but I said nothing. I told myself, they're busy. They're building a life. One evening, Daniel called me while walking home from work. "We might not come by this weekend," he said gently. "Emily's parents are visiting." "That's okay," I replied. "Have a nice time." I meant it. But after that, there were always reasons. Emily's parents. Work schedules. Trips I only heard about later through pictures. I started feeling like a guest in my own son's life. One day, I asked Daniel quietly, "Did I do something wrong?" He sounded surprised. "No, Mom. Of course not." But his voice was distant, like he was already somewhere else. Emily and I were never unkind to each other. But we were never close. There was an invisible wall. And I did not know how to step around it. The day I found out they were married started like any other. I woke up early. I watered my plants. I made tea. I had not heard from Daniel in a while, so I decided to call. Emily answered. "Hello," she said. We talked briefly. Small talk. The weather. Then I asked gently, "So, when is the wedding?" There was a pause. Just a second. Then she said it. "We got married yesterday." Her voice was calm, like she was telling me what she ate for lunch. My hand tightened around the phone. "Oh," I said. "That's wonderful." She thanked me. The call ended. I sat there for a long time. I did not feel angry. I felt erased. I thought of all the nights Daniel and I talked about his future. All the moments I imagined being there for. And I realized I had been left out on purpose. That truth was heavy. Daniel called me later that night. "Mom," he said softly, "I hope you're not upset." I wanted to say many things. I wanted to ask why I was not invited, why I was not told, why I felt like a stranger. But instead I said, "I'm happy if you're happy." There was silence on the line. "I love you," he said. "I love you too," I replied. After that, I cried. Not loudly, just quietly. Over time, I learned something important. Not all wounds come from cruelty. Some come from fear. Fear of conflict. fear of emotion. Emily did not want tension. Daniel did not want to choose sides. So they chose silence. It hurt, but I began to understand. Ending, reflection, and gentle moral. Today, I still see my son. Not as often as before. But when I do, I choose peace. I do not bring up the wedding. I do not reopen the wound. Some doors close softly, and we must decide whether to knock or walk forward. I learned that love does not always look the way we expect. Sometimes love is stepping back without becoming bitter. And if you are listening to this, if you have ever felt quietly pushed aside, please remember this. Your worth is not measured by invitations. Your love still matters, even when it is unseen. And sometimes, the bravest thing a heart can do is stay gentle. As the months went on, I noticed something subtle happening inside me. The sharpness of the pain softened. It did not disappear, but it changed shape. It became something I carried quietly, like a folded note in my pocket. Always there, but no longer cutting into my skin. I learned how to live with unanswered questions. Why didn't they tell me before? Why was I not there? Why did they think I would react badly? Those questions used to circle my thoughts late at night. But slowly they grew tired. And so did I. One evening, as I washed dishes, I realized something. I had stopped replaying the phone call in my head. The words, "we got married yesterday," no longer echoed as loudly. That was when I understood that healing does not arrive suddenly. It arrives quietly, when you are not looking, watching from a distance. Daniel and Emily settled into their married life. I knew this mostly through small details. A photo posted online, a short message about work, a mention of a trip. I was not part of their everyday world. And that still hurt sometimes. But I reminded myself that my role had changed. I was no longer the center of Daniel's life. And that was not a failure. It was the natural order of things. Still, there were moments when the distance felt heavy. Like when I walked past a shop window and saw wedding decorations. Or when a neighbor talked excitedly about her son's ceremony. I would smile and listen. And then I would go home and sit quietly. Not lonely, just reflective. A memory from long ago. One night, I dreamed about Daniel as a child. He was sitting on the floor, building something with blocks. He looked up at me and said, "Mom, watch this." I woke up with tears in my eyes. That dream reminded me of something important. Once I was his whole world, and now I was not. But that did not erase what we had. Nothing could. An unexpected conversation. One afternoon, Emily called me. That alone surprised me. Her voice sounded careful, almost nervous. "I just wanted to check in," she said. "See how you're doing." "I'm doing fine," I replied honestly. There was a pause. "I hope you didn't feel pushed aside," she said quietly. I could hear the effort in her words. I took a slow breath. "I did feel sad," I said gently. "But I know you didn't mean to hurt me." She exhaled softly, like she had been holding her breath. "Thank you for saying that," she replied. We did not talk long. But when the call ended, something felt lighter. Not fixed, just lighter. Over time, I came to see things more clearly. Emily grew up in a very different family. Private, reserved, emotions kept close. Daniel learned to avoid conflict after his father died. He hated tension. He always had. Their choice made sense in its own way. That understanding did not erase the pain, but it softened the edges. And sometimes that is enough. Learning a new kind of love. I learned how to love my son differently. Not with expectations, not with assumptions, but with patience. I stopped waiting for invitations. I stopped hoping for gestures that might never come. Instead, I focused on being steady. When they visited, I welcomed them warmly. When they didn't, I wished them well silently. I learned that love does not always move forward. Sometimes it steps aside. The empty chair. There is a chair at my dining table that Daniel used to sit in. For a long time, I avoided looking at it. But one day, I sat there myself. I placed my hands on the table and closed my eyes. I remembered the sound of his laughter, the way he used to tap his fingers when thinking. And instead of sadness, I felt gratitude. Because not everyone gets memories like that. A quiet realization. One morning, as sunlight filled my kitchen, I realized something surprising. I was okay. Not perfectly fine. Not untouched. But okay. I had survived something that felt unbearable at first. And I had done it without becoming hard. That mattered to me. If I could go back to that phone call, I would not change my calm response. But I might say one thing. I would say, I wish I had been there, but I still love you. And maybe That message found its way through, even without words. If you are listening to this story late at night, if your house is quiet, if you are thinking about someone who drifted away, please hear this. Being left out does not mean you were unworthy. Being silent does not mean you were forgotten. Sometimes, people are doing the best they can with what they know. Even when it hurts others, you are allowed to grieve quietly. You are allowed to heal slowly. And you are allowed to choose grace. Toward a gentle closing. Today, when I think of Daniel's wedding, I no longer feel the sharp sting. I feel a soft sadness and a deeper understanding. Life does not always include us in every moment, but it does not erase our love. And love, when it is real, does not demand proof. It simply stays. Final words, soft moral. Some chapters end without warning. Some doors close without noise. But you can still walk forward with kindness in your heart. You can still choose peace. And sometimes, the quiet strength of acceptance is the greatest gift you give yourself.